day.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's really nice. And I can't get the lid off.
Look at these.
But did you have enough for your breakfast?
I did, thank you very much.
Right.
I see. Do you know what I love about Betty's? Is they have a lady in there in like a suit, and if you slurp your tea, you get removed.
Generally, the people that go into Betty's will not want. We're not toasting. First we clink,
And then we drink.
and then we drink. Flavoured.
Could someone please explain to me, and I know we've touched on this before, but I still don't get it, what is chai tea? Could you darn a hat?
What are you talking about?
Special occasion chip. Everyone should have a special occasion chip.
Well, it's tea that's got like spices.
Why?
Wow.
What do we look like?
Turtles.
Oh yeah. I need a thing on my back. That's
Well,
really
like
cool.
bakery turtles.
Yeah.
And Nitty Bob's in Hawaii at the minute, and she keeps posting pictures of turtles on the beach.
Oh, and
they're
Holly
called...
Dapp and her daughter were playing with little turtles.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. And she told us what a group of turtles was called, and I can't remember now, Bob. I can't remember.
Oh yes, I love things like that. But
Come
welcome
back to me.
to episode 20.
20.
Would you believe it? Speaking of pork pies,
Yeah.
I can't stand. I don't know about any of you. Also, do they get pork pies in America?
I bet not.
And in fact, across
Actually.
Europe and the world, it would be interesting to know. Wouldn't you like to know?
I would like to know. Pork pies are a good pork pie is
First of all,
yummy.
let's start with any pork pie. Can you access and do you eat a pork pie? Please tell us in the show.
Maybe they do have pork pies, but it's not the same as what we would call a pork pie.
Right. Well, a pork pie to us is a deep.
It's a raised meat pie. So the pastry, for starters, is a hot water crust pastry. So you basically have lard, flour, and you add hot water to it. So it's a hot pastry, and you make a case and you fill it with minced pork and herbs and all the rest of it.
And then this is where
Well, this is where
bone of contention
bone
time.
of contention is.
Because my theory was always that stuff came out of the pork, but it isn't. They inject
No.
it.
You put it in. You put a lid on, and then you fill it with a jelly that goes around the outside of the pork. And what happens is, once it cools, it sets. So around your pork filling, you'll get like a jelly, which is kind of like a meat jelly, a bit like what's
salty.
the word? Yeah, salty. An aspic, I suppose you'd call it.
As a child, I would cut a segment of it. I'd
I'd
pull the
take
meat
it
out,
off.
cut out and then stick it back in.
But my dad loved the jelly because they say it's got a lot of flavour in the jelly.
That's like saying the flavour's in the fat.
I didn't like the jelly
It's
bit.
disgusting. I would take mine out and I'd squirt in HP sauce.
Yeah.
And then stick it back down and then eat that. But you can get great pork pies without the jelly.
Yeah,
The Harrogate, the one in Ripon.
they're very good.
We've got to go to that pie shop.
There's a famous pie shop in Ripon.
Prince Charles loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, their pies are very good.
And they don't have in the squirting blooming.
And I love the pastry on a pork pie. It's like, oh my gosh, if you love pastry, I could just eat the pastry. We're like yin and yang, aren't we? Because you love the filling and I love the pastry. You're not bothered.
On a pork pie, I
Yeah.
like the whole thing.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
No. I was just thinking. I was thinking about the famous pork pie.
Oh, shush, we don't talk about that.
The biggest pork pie you have ever seen.
Well, I blame James Martin because it was his recipe.
Was that size pie an actual recipe?
Yes! I followed the recipe, right? I made a pork pie one Christmas, and it was like a pork pie that Desperate Dan would have eaten. It was massive.
They're looking at it right now.
Oh no, don't. It was absolutely ginormous. It was comical, the size of this pie.
This pork pie was so big, I had a massive piece, and it totally outfaced me, and I couldn't eat any more.
No, I think I had a tiny bit, and
also the colour of the meat wasn't right, was it? It came out. That's what you said that you felt wasn't quite right.
yeah, that it just. I just don't. I think you've got to be an expert on these things to get it right, and clearly I wasn't at that.
But we are forgetting about the triumph that was that Gordon Ramsay pie with the same pastry with the eggs and the mincemeat.
That was very good, yeah.
Minced pork. Delicious.
Pork and egg pie, that was excellent, yeah.
A lovely slicing. Oh.
Yeah.
I love a nice pork and egg pie, actually.
Yeah.
So you see, things like that I do like. We were just talking, actually, before we started about eating and food and stuff, and I'm not a lover of like meat, like beef gravy pies and chicken pies and
I really
like that.
I do like them, but we don't eat them often.
So episode 20.
Episode 20.
Very exciting because I was initially not excited about episode 20. I have to tell you.
Why?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Because there isn't a favourite places to knit.
No.
Thanks to the weather last weekend.
It's just been freezing.
Well, the problem last weekend was not the cold. It was the
Did it snow?
The smatterings of snow that would suddenly hit, and we're like,
yeah, it kept snowing.
Rain.
It rained.
It was like
it just unpleasant, to be out.
Cold spring.
Yeah.
So I was feeling a bit down.
Were you?
Yeah, because I love a favourite places to knit.
We do.
It's such fun. So it left us with only one choice, really.
What's that?
Well, we have. You know how at the start of the year we said favourite places to knit was coming back, but we were going to supercharge it.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've had to supercharge what's in your oven.
Where are you looking?
But yeah, that's to come later. I'm quite excited about it, actually.
It's fun.
It's super fun. It's so fun. I want to know what you made, though. And I want to know if you're going to share it with me. We'll find out later in the show. So that must mean...
Yeah.
And as you have something right there... Kay Jones, what's on your needles? And I didn't squeeze for the first time.
No, that's quite pleasant, actually.
There you
Don't be doing it.
I'm not going to. From now on, for the next 20 episodes, this is the way I shall touch your leg at the start of what's on your needles.
Well, I don't mind that. That's quite a nice, subtle touch of the leg, if I can say that.
See, perfect. There we go. We're all ready.
Oh, my Lord. Did you hear that? Somebody putting something through the letterbox. I thought somebody had put a nuclear bomb through.
Oh, Lordy.
Okay, the first thing on my needles is my...
Your?
My?
They're mine.
Are you knitting them?
No, they're my socks.
Well, hush then.
You just haven't finished them yet.
Well,
They look so squishy.
Yeah, squishy. These are my spring into socks. Socks. For our knit along, which started on the 1st of March. So here they are. And someone, who was it that said?
Was it Tilly? Well, Tilly Track.
No, it was Sue. It was Sue. It was Sue Loop. Sue Brown said that this top. I hadn't done this row here. This one doesn't look like it, but this row here looks like little sheep. Doesn't it? Little black-faced sheep walking along. Which I thought, it's just the way it came out. It wasn't planned or anything. Hold it a bit closer for you. So this is the socks I'm knitting for Dan. And they are Aran weight. It's West Yorkshire Spinners.
Oh, I love a bit of West Yorkshire Spinners.
Yeah.
They're very good.
I'm trying to remember the Air Valley. AIRE Valley, Aran. And this is the colourway. I can't remember the colourway name. But I did show it last week. So this is the yarn. And because it's an Aran weight, I've never knit Dan heavier weight socks. I've only ever knit in fingering weight. So I spent some time thinking about how many stitches to cast on. And I looked at the Rye pattern by Tin Can Knits because that's an Aran weight. Gosh, look at my loop. It's very loopy, isn't it? And their largest size recommends 48 stitches. I think it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was 48 on... I think it was 3.5 for the cuff and 3.75 for the body. I think something like that. And I thought about it, and then I thought, well, I've knit loads of DK weight socks for me, and I cast on 42 for me, and I'm thinking, I just don't think 48 will be enough for Dan, because, you know, if you saw his feet, not only are they long, but they're really wide. I mean, they're massive, honestly. So what I decided...
I am a big fella.
Well, I know you are. I'm not I'm not complaining. I'm just stating a fact. So what I decided to do was, and I wanted a nice dense fabric as well. So I decided to use 3.25mm, and I've cast on 56. And that seems to work. I knit the rib and then a bit of this, and I just like tried it on his foot, and it went over your heel okay, didn't it? You know, and sat around his leg all right. So I'm going with that. Oh, that just went in my tea. So I'm doing 56 stitches. So I'll stop fairly soon, I think, and do the heel flap. I'm doing a heel flap and gusset. I'm not doing any other sort of fancy heel. So yeah, so I mean, I'm loving the yarn. Tilly's knitting with this yarn in, and I've got a ball of it. You were right, Tilly, I have got that colour.
What did Tilly call the knittle?
I don't know. Did she call it sock into springs?
Yes.
Was it Tilly that said that?
Yeah.
Sock into springs. And a few people have said, I was watching Sally Jane yesterday, and she said springing into socks, which I thought was quite nice. It just made me think we were all on little springs and we were bouncing into our socks.
But when you're wearing hand knits, you do spring into your socks.
You do, I suppose, yeah. But it is coming up lovely and dense and really nice. I'm using my carbons, 3.25mm. Oh, yeah. And I've got 2 balls of this because I'm going to use more than half of a ball for this sock, definitely. And obviously I didn't want to have a break in the yarn. So I'm just going to, you know, I'll probably have 2 leftover bits, but that's fine. So that's my first little...
Beautiful.
Whippet.
Absolute... What?
I just made that up.
What was it?
A whippet.
What does that mean?
A small whip. I don't know.
A whip?
Sorry.
WHIP?
No. Whip.
We don't have whips.
Sorry. It's what...
We have.
It's a what on my... What on my... Oh, gosh.
What on my...
What on my needles.
You're speaking like Ayla.
Yeah.
What on my needle?
Bryony said I should have gone dressed as Ayla for book day today. Bryony's gone to school today. It's World Book Day today.
Do you want to see?
So they all go dressed as a character from their favourite book.
Oh no, that's a picture of you and your gran. Oh no, it's not.
Look,
it's Bryony.
Bryony's gone as Gangster Granny. I was telling Sally about this, and she hadn't heard of the author. It's a British author. He's called David Walliams. It's not Williams, it's Walliams. So she's gone as Gangster Granny, and it's this little old granny who, you know, is obviously a gangster. So I went to the charity shop and got all these like granny clothes. So she's gone in this floral skirt.
Although that was harder than we anticipated.
It was
Charity
harder.
shops don't have what they used to have in.
No, I mean they're very good quality. I was looking, you know, I was going through all these charity shops. That's really nice. I'd wear that. So we got this flowered skirt and like this cream coloured blouse, and she's actually gone in one of my cardigans. It's just like a little
Did you give up
pink
on that cardigan?
cardigan.
What's it?
And a headscarf, you know, where you tie it around your head, and I've sprayed her hair grey. I got some grey hairspray. She looked really cool, didn't she?
She does. And I taught her to walk hunched over.
Yeah, she was walking along like a little old granny. And then we got to school, and one of the teachers says, "Oh, come along, little old lady." So what does Dan say?
Don't talk to Kay like that.
It's quite funny at the time.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so she looked very cool. So I digressed.
Yeah.
So, Dan Jones.
Oh, I see. It's falling on us quite evil.
What's on your needles?
It is. It's the handbrake cowl, and it's nearly finished. I'm just
it is nearly
on a
finished.
pearl row,
Which you love doing.
I despise. It takes me hours.
I don't. Why you despise purling?
Look,
I don't know
when I started this thing,
what you've got against
do you
purling.
remember when I started this thing and I said that it was dead boring, and you said, "Oh, people love doing this."
Yeah.
Do people really love doing this?
Purling.
This blanket stitch? Did you say?
Blanket stitch.
Oh, what is it then? What's that?
How am I not teaching you anything?
What is that?
Garter stitch, darling.
Are you sure you just called that garter stitch when we spoke about it before? Does it have another name when you do it like that?
No,
Okay.
it's garter stitch.
Sorry then. I'd like a show of hands, please, or comment in the Ravelry. yeah, sure. Or comment in the Ravelry. Who enjoys doing garter stitch and who doesn't enjoy doing garter stitch? I'd really like to know because
But there's garter stitch in the round and there's
like
garter
it.
stitch flat. Garter stitch in the round you have to purl.
Okay.
Garter stitch flat you don't.
Oh, right, okay.
So you don't like garter stitch in the round. You'd never knit a Ricky hat.
No, I wouldn't. And that's not because I don't like
Ricky! That's what we call it, don't we? A Ricky hat.
So, any hoot, this being nearly finished, I'll finish it today with a bit of luck, and then we will launch the pattern, and the pattern will have the scarf and the cowl on it, and we'll launch it on the same day as when we launch something else, or when you launch something else.
And that'll just be a free pattern. So
this will be free.
Enjoy.
But yeah, what's that?
I kind of want to knit one.
Do it.
Yeah.
Are you going to download it?
Do you know what I'm going to do?
What?
Do you know I said I've got those 2 skeins of Mad Tosh Vintage in Farmhouse White that I showed last time?
Yeah.
I could totally knit one of those in one and a hat in the other.
Right.
To match.
Do you know what would make my life complete? If when I launch this pattern, if Susie Gawley downloads it and knits one.
Oh, yeah.
I can feel a tear forming in my eye. When we were down at my mum's at Christmas, we met one of her friends. You also gave them a load of yarn, didn't you?
I did. I had a clear out of some of my yarn and I took it down for their knitting.
The Somerset stitches.
Yeah.
Took it down, and I mean, it seems that Nana Wendy has hoarded quite a bit.
She has.
She did. No, I think what she did was she took the yarn along and she said, right, everyone can take 2 skeins.
Is that what she said? She's terrible, isn't she?
Then she took it home because she's thinking, I'll have that. But she's been really nice with it because, people come around and they see it and they go, that looks nice. And Jackie's had, I think, 6 skeins, she said.
Yeah.
And she's knit 6
bankheads, yeah. Come on. So she said all of her family have got warm heads because of us, because she said that when we were down, we were chatting with her, and she said that I inspired her to start knitting again. She had knit years ago. And we chatted for ages, and I told her about Ravelry, so she's obviously gone on to Ravelry and joined, and
we have to seek her out.
Yeah, because I'm guessing she must have found the pattern by looking on because I told her to go and look at my project pages and stuff. So that was really cool.
Enough of this chit-chat. We all want to know what that is. Kay Jones, what's on your needle?
I'm having awful issues with this cable on this. I think it must have just been scrunched up in the bag. I might have
That's cool yarn.
It is beautiful yarn, actually, and I will show you.
What is it?
In 1 second. It's Juliana's fibre.
Juliana Piglet.
Juliana Piglet.
Yes.
Lovely Juliana.
I'm not joking you.
Yeah.
Out of all the yarn I've seen in a long time.
It's really, really pretty, isn't it?
That's pretty.
Isn't it pretty? I'll get the tag. Where's my bag? Here it is.
And to look at that, you just think, that's nice. But then you look at that, it's like, oh my lord, that's
It's really
nice.
lovely, yeah. And I've been hoarding this for a little bit.
Are they
got
socks?
it. Yes.
What's the pattern?
I'll tell you shortly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so excited.
So here's it's Juliana's Lucky Star. I want to sing.
Yeah, we did that last time.
Did we? Oh, right, okay, I won't do it again. And it's 75 Superwash Merino, 20 nylon, 5 Stellina.
Above the clouds. Because that totally makes me... That's like... Oh, hold on. Is this...
It's meant to be... Listen to me. Honestly, can I get a word in? I think the idea... Here's the... look at the sparkles. Can you see the sparkles? You totally can see the sparkles. And I think it's meant to be like clouds with a rainbow coming through the clouds. Is that right, Juliana? I'm talking to Juliana as if she watches. I don't know if she does or not, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I've kind of hoarded this. I've not had it that long. I think I got it maybe November time, something like that. And then I was gifted a pattern by lovely Sarah Stevens from the O Loops yarn.
Did she give me the same pattern?
Yes. She gifted me this pattern, just another vanilla sock, which was lovely of you. Thank you, Sarah. And this and it's toe up. And this kind of inspired me to have a go at toe up, because I've never knit a toe up sock. And I don't know really what's put me off. I do know what's put me off. It was the bind off. I've said this before. It was the bind off on the rib. I didn't like how it can flare depending on what cast off you use. And I know that once it's on your leg, you don't see that. But I'm a bit of a neat freak, and that sort of bugged me. But I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to give it a go, and I'll think about the bind off when I get to it. And I've asked for a few suggestions, and I think I'm going to try the sewn bind off, because that one looks neat and tidy, and I'll give that one a go. So after a few failed attempts at casting on, I have successfully cast on. Look at the yarn, isn't it pretty? So you can see it looks like clouds with rainbows coming through it, and there's, through the kind of blue background, you get these little flecks of like a mauvey, lilac-y. It's coming up pretty on the screen, but actually it is much prettier in reality.
I thought you were going to say, but actually it's not pretty at all.
Gosh. It's not. It's beautiful yarn. I love it, Juliana. So, I don't know if she's got any in a shop at the minute, but if she has, you should definitely go out and grab it.
Makes me think of My Little Ponies.
Yeah, it does. It's super pretty. So, in the end, I did Judy's Magic cast on. I tried the Turkish one, and it just kind of all fell off my needles. Oh, I couldn't do that one. And then I think on my third attempt, I managed this one, and I still got a tiny little hole on one side. Where is it? Is it that side or that side? No, it's this. I can't really even see it very much now, and maybe I'm being, well, I don't, you can kind of see. You can see it. Look, can you see that little hole? And I got that a couple of times. I don't know why, if anybody can help me out on that. But it was on the side where the yarn comes out, that I've tucked the yarn inside. So I just thought, well, I can just sew that shut when I weave in that yarn on the inside. So, don't worry about it, Kay. Worse things have happened, haven't they? So I cast this on and did all this straight off, and then I put it away because I wanted to get some other things finished off. I just wanted to make sure I could do it, really, to when you have that in your head, and I'm like, I'm going to do this. So yeah, and I'm doing it on 2.5. It's so nice, that yarn, isn't it? 2.5 mils, and I'm just having, can you see my cable? It's like, I think it's been scrunched in my bag for a little bit, and it just needs to relax, I think, because I've used these needles before. They're Addy Lace needles. I've not had any issues, so I think I just need to let it relax a bit.
Oh.
Dan Jones.
Oh, you see, she's still... Okay, go on.
What's on your needles?
I'm in pearl hell. It just so happens that at this moment, if I hadn't just been in the middle of a pearl row going into the beginning of a pearl row, I wouldn't feel quite so aggrieved.
Do you want to knit on something of mine?
Certainly not.
Oh, right, okay.
We don't do that.
Although
you did finish off my projects last year, thank you very much. There is... Oh, it looks great. Look at that. I've got to say, I do really like this. I suppose if you have a creative brain, you're naturally creative in other ways. And I've really enjoyed taking the elements of the bankhead and applying it to other items. Because it's the, and I think this is the reason why the bankhead is such a good knit. I've yet to find someone who's gone, I've knit that, I'm not doing that again.
No, everybody loves
People
it. Yeah.
seem to, it's addictive, and I'm sure it's addictive because the way the pattern is written, and these are exactly the same. They feel exactly the same but different actually, because you're adjusting things as you go.
Yeah, because you're moving that pearl stitch each time.
It is. It's great. I love it. It's a real sort of when you defrag your PC and you get it all working.
No idea what that means, but okay.
It's just a button you push and it makes the PC relax. Go. Oh.
Oh.
It's like.
I wish I had one of those
with
buttons.
your own brain. Well, you do, and you push it whenever you knit.
Right.
There you go. You see.
Okay.
So yes, there it is. Lovely. It is really nice yarn.
It is nice yarn. It's the Uncommon Thread.
Yeah.
BFL. Yeah, 100% BFL DK.
Beautiful. Have you got anything else in your needles?
Yes.
Okay. How many more things?
2.
Okay. A toe-up sock.
Yeah.
Do you knit that in the same way as a toe down, but just up?
Toe down? What's a toe down sock?
Ankle down.
Ankle down.
An ankle down sock. That looks like a sweet.
What?
You know those sweets that come in packets with the 3... Do you remember? When no one's really bothered about them. The boiled
Spangles.
sweets.
No, not Spangles.
It's those boiled sweets.
Do you remember Spangles?
The bangles.
No,
Walk like an Egyptian.
You don't remember
Vogue.
Spangles? Oh, don't talk about Vogue. We're not falling down the stairs, are we?
That's funny.
What? Just made me think of Madonna. Poor Madonna.
I just wonder if anyone...
What?
Maybe that's a new Vogue move.
Oh, gosh, I mean, really, whose fault was that? I mean, I've watched it and it looked to me like she didn't... She kind of was struggling, wasn't she, to undo the ties on it.
She must have known there was a problem.
Yeah, and it wasn't fully undone. She must have known that.
And
but obviously the
live on
person
stage.
behind her wouldn't have known that. Ugh.
I wonder at what stage she knew.
How awful, gosh. That person who pulled her must just feel so terrible.
And you wonder if Madonna went all diva about it and sacked him.
It was a woman, I think.
Who pulled her?
I think so. Maybe not. I didn't.
Maybe it was a number of people.
Yeah, well, no, it was one person, I think, but...
Wow, they must have been strong, because she didn't half fly.
Yeah, she's only a slight person, isn't she? She's tiny, Madonna.
How did voguing come up on Come Knit With Us?
Vogue. Oh, they did talk about voguing. I can't remember how it came up now. But yeah, Kim and Sam, they were talking about voguing.
What are those?
Socks.
Are they for me?
Yes.
Oh, show them.
Because I'm only knitting 2 pairs of socks for you at the moment. It's clearly one's not enough. I showed these last time, but I have done a bit of work on them, I think. These are Dan's other pair of socks. And I've spoke about these before, but it's the Regia design line by Kristen Thomas. Have I got a name? Kristen Thomas? She's an actress. No, that's
Is that her name?
No, it's not. It's Kristen. Who's Kristen Thomas?
You got me excited then. Kristen Scott Thomas. She's an actress.
Oh, she's an actress. It's Kristen Nicholas. What a fool. What a fool I am. And it is 03312.
What?
Colourway.
That's not a very nice name for the colourway.
That's just what it is, darling. You know.
They don't give it like a nice name, like what Juliana Piglet did.
No, because this is like commercially dyed yarn.
They're Germans, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, well, of course, that's what they did.
It's just a number. Yeah, just because they're very efficient. They are very efficient Germans.
Come on, give it a name. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, so... Oh, look, it looks nice. The screen brightens up, I've noticed, when you hold things closer.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So that's where I'm up to. I think I've got... I know I need to knit...
Oh, does that mean then we should podcast like this?
Does it work? Does it brighten up? No. It's just when you... I didn't do it that time.
It's interesting.
As I said before, I know I've got to knit 135 rows from below the rib down to the foot, and I think I'm on about 105, something like that. I think last time I counted. I need to put I normally put a little stitch marker in when I get to 100, so I don't need to count all the way down. So I'm not that far off really the toe, so I really want to work on this and try and get this one done and cast on the other one. I am a little worried about how much yarn I've got left. I'm sure I'll be fine, because I think you always think you've got less than you've actually got, don't you, when you get down to like this amount. But I'm sure it'll be fine. So that's the other pair for Dan, and I really like it actually. I don't think you've got a Regia pair of socks. I don't think I've ever knit your Regia.
No.
I think they've always been opal or Osterman Step. I don't think I've done Regia. So that's that one. And I'm just carrying my projects around. Look in my lovely bag that Sally sent me. Look. She crocheted me a market bag, and look, it's got my initial on a little flower. How cute is that? There's no way I'm going to take this shopping and trudging all my groceries in it. It's too nice.
But you did the other day.
Well, I did the other day, but that was just too pretty, because it looked pretty.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't... So I'm going to use it as a project bag, Sally. I hope that's all right. I'm going to put my blanket in it. Sally's saying, do what you want, you know.
I think you should use it for your... whenever we do what's in your oven, you should use it.
Oh, well, I will. But I love it. Thank you so much, Sally. It's so nice. I love the yarn. So let me just put that there. I'm running out of space. I'll quickly show you my crocheted blanket. Because everybody said such nice things about it. It's so nice. Thank you so much. I was really touched. And I have, I've added another whole row. It was this row here. This top row, I added that whole, I think I had one, actually, wrong end. I think I had that one. And that's also Juliana's fibre. In very similar colour to the other one, except this is a little bit more grey, I think, and the other one's more blue. So I added this whole row. So this was from Zena. That's a Nicole C. Mendez, I think. That was just one of mine. That's from Fairy Little, from Marsha. That one's from Juliana, a mini skein. This one I think was from Zena as well. I think Zena was that. I think that one's from you. That one, gosh, I can't remember that one. Was that Marsha as well? It might have been. Oh, that might have been Zena. And that was one of mine that I had. So yeah, I had that whole row, and I'm now 14 squares long that way, and I think 9 squares the other way. So I am going to do it to 15. So I've just got one more row that I'm going to add down, and then that's as wide as it's going to be. So at the minute it's that wide, look, it's as wide as my kind of wingspan. So I'm going to add one more row, so it's 15 wide, and then I think I'm going to go for 20 long. And then I am going to put a nice big border around it as well, I think, in the cream. I'll probably do a few more rounds of the granny, and then maybe a picot edge. I think that might be quite pretty. So yeah, so I didn't do masses on it this time, but I have definitely put some work in on it, and I will do more this next couple of weeks now that I've finished a couple of things, which we'll talk about. And then my last thing is my other blanket, my other sock yarn blanket. This is my mitered squares, and I can't remember where it was up to last time, but I put a fair bit on. Look, I'm up to this wide now, and it's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You finished that pearl row?
Yeah.
So I think I might go to, I'll see how wide it is when I get to maybe 25. I'll just see how I go. And I can't remember where I was, but maybe around here. So I've maybe added these, and so I'm up to here. I did these 2 last night. That one is a 5 Moons mini, and that one was scraps, I think, from Diane. I think that one was from you, Diane. And then this one was an Opal mini. That's a Regia mini. Gosh, I can't remember. That red one I think was a 5 Moons. And that one is called Yoda colourway. That one was from Sarah. Was it you? I think that one was from Sarah. So yeah, going really well on that, and I'm loving it. You know, I picked it up last night because I finished these 2 big projects yesterday, and I was like, oh, I can just do whatever I want. And I was so happy to do that last night, just to knit those 2 squares. Oh, it was lovely. So, and that's everything I've been working on. It's quite a lot, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So, who am I going to choose for what's on your needles this week? And what I've done...
It's me. No.
You're not special enough.
No.
I went to the introduction thread again and had a read through the latest people to come on over and introduce themselves. So yeah, I've used the introduction thread to choose who, and I just I read through them, and if anything kind of, I mean, as we've
Grabs
said,
you?
Grabs me, yeah. Ooh. Particularly grabs me. Ooh. I don't know if this colour is a bit washy for me.
It's nice. I like it.
I don't know if it's me or not, this colour.
You've worn it for ages for me, it's lovely.
I know, and I can't decide if
I've decided it's lovely.
It's brighter than this in reality. It's more neon, but anyway.
It's brighter than this in reality.
It is, isn't it? That's a brighter colour.
Is it? So I can't actually see how bright it is?
In reality, not on the screen.
Oh, okay. Right, I'm with you.
Gosh.
Sorry.
Right, so what's on your needles? This person jumped out at me because it's a male knitter. And we love a male knitter, don't we?
Mm.
And he introduced himself recently. I think he must be a relatively new knitter. And also his wife introduced herself as well. So you might know who you are now if you're both watching. They might both be watching together. That's exciting. So you ready? What's on your needles? It's Jared. Jared is JYs8407. You know Jared?
I do.
Jared is in North Carolina and he is in the US Air Force.
Wow.
People.
Yeah.
They're all imagining it now. US Air Force, young male knitter.
Tom Cruise knits.
Come on. And his lovely wife introduced herself as well.
There's a podcast for you. Tom Cruise knits.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. I've just got Top Gun in my head. That was on recently, wasn't it? It's so dated. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's okay.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, Jared.
Hold on. Didn't Matt Franklin, he worked on aircraft carriers?
Oh, it was in the Navy. Is that what he did?
I'm
Is that
sure
what you
you worked
did?
on
I didn't realise you were on aircraft carriers. Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
That's exciting,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's interesting. That.
Wow.
That's two. Oh, and that's interesting as well that on the sewing bee there's an army fella, isn't there?
Yes, if anybody's watching the Great British Sewing Bee this time, there's a male sewer on it, and he's in the army. I don't think it's Navy. I think it is Army. I think it's Neil, isn't it? And he is amazing. Their end challenge last week was to make a kilt. I kid you not, a kilt. His was, I mean, they were all pretty good, but his was just unbelievable. And the judge, I can't remember his name, tall, very handsome man, the judge, but he is very dashing. You know, if you haven't seen this, go and watch it. He is very, very dashing. English gent. And he had a kilt on himself, and he's like, this is amazing, I would wear this. It was fabulous. So maybe it is something, to do with, the forces and everything.
Maybe.
So, Jared, go on over to the What's on Your Needles.
I really want to know what's on his needles.
Yes.
I mean, I really want to know what's on your needles.
And
I'm going to his project page.
Yeah. And show us what's on your needles. And everybody, I'm sure he would love, I think in the introduction thread he did ask for suggestions for things. He was asking for help on something. I can't remember what he said, Jared, but
flying planes.
Go on over and have a look at the introduction thread and and help him out. Yeah. So that's Jared.
Cool.
Yeah. Coolie.
Do you know what I've been wondering all episode?
What have you been wondering?
What's in your oven?
Ah. Baking today, and today we're going to be doing a maple tart, and I'm doing that for a few reasons. One, because Bakewell, the village of Bakewell town, is one of my favourite places in the whole world to visit. It's really beautiful, and they do a traditional pudding. It's actually called a pudding. It's a Bakewell pudding, which is different to a Bakewell tart, which is what I'm going to be doing today. I'm not keen on the Bakewell pudding actually. It's an entirely different sort of construction and flavour, and I find them a bit heavy. This is lighter with the same kinds of flavours in, but I think it's just a bit nicer to eat. So that's what we're going to be making. Like I say, we'll just pop into the shops to get the ingredients. So we're back from the shops and we've got our ingredients. So what do we need to make our lovely Bakewell tart? Well, I need a couple of things from the fridge, but we'll get those in a second. The first thing we need is some really good jam. I'm using Bon Maman because, as Busy Mama knows, it's the best one. I'm using raspberry, but you can use your favourite strawberry or plum or whatever your favourite jam is. So a jar of some really nice quality jam, some lovely butter, some caster sugar, toasted flaked almonds. The toasted ones have a lot more flavour than just the normal flaked, and ground almonds. And the other couple of things we need, just one more thing actually, out of the fridge is, now I've made this recipe is made a lot easier by the fact that we use shop bought pastry. I know, shocking. You can make your own, and I would normally make my own, but I think it just makes it a little bit less daunting to just have a go at it if you know that you can just, whip this out of the fridge. So short crust pastry, and then the only other things that I haven't mentioned are some eggs, 4 really nice quality eggs, and what else? I think that's everything actually. A little bit of icing sugar we need towards the end, and yeah, so we're ready to get started. Okay, so we need to roll out our pastry. If I can get into okay, you won't need all this, but it's easier just to roll out the entire block to get the right size. So just a little bit of flour on your work surface and on your rolling pin, and we just roll. Now this is straight from the fridge, so it does tend to be a bit hard to work, but once you've been at it a little bit, it will soften up. We've rolled out the pastry to about 1/4 of an inch thick, and we're now going to line our flan dish, which is a 9-inch, I think that's 23 centimetres, loose bottomed flan dish, and I've just given it a little grease with butter just to be on the absolute safe side. And then all we do is we negotiate that under there. You can see this is a massively big piece of pastry, but better to have too much. So we cover our sides and then just ease it in to the corners. So like lift and then push it back to the corner. No, there isn't any corners, it's a circle to the edges, and just give it a little. So what we're doing is we're making sure there's no air bubbles underneath, because that will make it puff up and we don't want that. And then again, just go all the way round and just push it into those ridges that you've got on the sides. Because just by giving it that little tuck into the ridges, you'll get a nice effect when it's baked. You'll get all those little ridges going around the outside. Now the pastry always shrinks when it goes in the oven, so I do trim this, but sorry, I need a knife. I won't trim it. If you trim it close to the edge here, all the way around the edge, it's going to shrink back and go down, and shrink back down the sides. So I'll just trim all the way around, but leave an overlap, and then we will trim it properly once it's been blind baked, because then it will have shrunk back and there's no worry that it's going to shrink too much. So that's our tin lined. I'm just going back around, just making sure that, and when this is baked, we'll go back round and just trim this edge. Because what we need to do now is blind bake it. And what I mean by that is just bake it as it is in the tin so that you get a nice crisp pastry crust. I would say that although the ceramic flan dishes are very pretty, if you use a ceramic flan dish, you won't get crispy pastry no matter what you do, because it doesn't have the heat conduction that metal does. So I would really recommend that you use a metal flan dish for this. So to blind bake it, you can just, if you haven't got what I'm going to put in, you can just pop it into the oven as it is, prick it all over with a fork so that if any air is underneath there, it'll just be released. But to keep the pastry flat, touching the metal, because that's what you want to get it crispy, it's better if you actually weight it down. So you can use baking parchment for this, or I just like to use these liners that are for a loaf tin. And I just spread one that way, and then one that way, and then I know that covers all of the bits I need it to cover. And it's kind of a bit less fussy than using baking parchment, which is like a big square piece and it's a bit tricky. So we've flattened it all down, and then we're just going to throw in some rice just to weight it down. You can use baking beans. If you've got baking beans, you can use that. But I find that rice actually works a little bit better, because baking beans are like quite big round ceramic, like ball bearings, I suppose. And they can make little impressions on your pastry. Not that that matters once your filling's in, but I just find that rice kind of gets into all the nooks and crannies a bit better. We're now going to pop that in the oven for, I'm just checking the recipe, for about 15 minutes, 190 degrees centigrade. And then we're going to take it out of the oven, remove the paper and the rice, and then pop it back in for about another 8 minutes just to crisp up the pastry. And you're just looking for a nice kind of golden brown colour. So there it is out of the oven. It did just puff up a little bit, which, you know, it happens. So what I did was I just went in and punctured the little risen bits with the tip of my knife just to let it flatten back down again, so it'll be absolutely fine, you know, once the jam goes in. You can see how much it's shrunk. You know, it's way down there, and, you know, some bits have shrunk up there. But what we'll do, you need to leave it to go cold, and then we'll trim off those edges and make it nice and neat before we put the filling in. Okay, so our pastry case has cooled now, and I've started just trimming the edge. It's kind of rustic looking, you know, this is a homemade tart at the end of the day, so we're not looking for magazine quality, we're just looking for something that's going to taste nice and look, you know, homemade. So I've nearly trimmed all the way around the edges. It's best, I find, to use a little serrated knife for this rather than, you know, a flat-edged. So I'm just going round and just trimming it up. There we go. So I've tidied that all up now. And you've got lots of little trimmings there, which I'm going to resist eating. Our filling is basically what we do is we have a layer, as Dan would make me say, of jam on the bottom, and it's covered by a frangipan topping. Frangipan is basically like an almond sponge. So to make our sponge, the first thing we need to do, in my bowl I've got 6 ounces of softened butter and 6 ounces of caster sugar. Now for you metric people, that's 175 grams, but there will be a link to the recipe in the show notes, and it's actually a James Martin recipe. What we need to do is whip up our butter and our sugar until it's really creamy and fluffy and light. So you have to make sure that your butter is at room temperature, otherwise, you know, you'll be at it forever. So we go in. So we've got a nice fluffy mixture of your butter and your sugar. And we now add in the eggs. We've got 4 eggs. I've still got all my rubbish there. 4 eggs, and I mean use free range eggs if you know, wherever possible, because they are the best. And take them out of the fridge. If you keep your eggs in the fridge, take them out of the fridge, you know, an hour before you're going to do this, so they can come to room temperature. Whenever you're doing any baking, it's better to have your eggs at all your ingredients really at room temperature. So we're going to add the eggs in and beat them in one at a time. Now it might look like the mixture's going to curdle a little bit, don't worry about that. So just one at a time. So there's the first one going in. And just beat again. And last egg. Right, so we've got all our eggs in. Wipe your sides down. Now all we need to do is fold in ground almonds. And we need 6 ounces again, so 175 grams. 6. Now we pop all these in. And we need to fold these in rather than beat them. So just get yourself a nice big metal spoon. It's always best to fold things in with a metal spoon. So we're just folding those gently in, and you're folding it so that you don't lose that air that we've just beat into the mixture. Now obviously this recipe is not for anybody who's got a nut allergy. I will just say that, because it's full of ground almonds. You'll not get a sponge mixture that looks perfectly smooth like you will with flour, just because it's almonds and they're very granular. Now we need to put our jam in the pastry case. And it says to use 300 grams. Now there's 370 grams in there, but you know, you want a decent layer of jam in there. You want to be able to taste the jam. So we're going to spoon in our jam. And just as much as you feel you want, really. And what I've done before, actually, at Christmas time, I was just reminded Dan, because he asked me if I'd made this recipe before, and I have, but it's years and years ago. But what I have made more recently is a mincemeat version. Little mince pies with frangipan topping, and that's really lovely. So at Christmas, that's definitely worth a go. I'm going to put a bit more in because I don't really want to see that, you know, the pastry peeping under. Okay, we've got our nice layer of jam in there, and we're now going to put on our frangipan topping. And the easiest way of getting a good spread, because obviously you want to not really, you know, let the jam rise up above the sponge mixture, is to just kind of put blobs all over, and then you only need to smooth it out like the bare minimum, really. And I think this is a perfect thing, hot or cold. You know, if you're going to have it warm from the oven, it's so lovely with, you know, a blob of cream or some custard even. Or then if you want it in an afternoon with a cup of tea and a slice when it's cold, is also incredibly yummy. And it'll last, a few days in a airtight tin. So now we just get a palette knife and just gently smooth it all over. You don't want any of that jam really peeping through. You want to cover it all the way over to the edges. Smooth. Okay. Perfect. Now the final bit before we pop it in the oven. Sprinkle on some icing sugar. So just in one of these little shakers I've got it. And then wrong bag. We just sprinkle over some flaked almonds. And this is really what makes it look like a baked tart, I always think. This is what you see, when you're going past the bakeries. Okay, there we go. And now it goes into the oven, same temperature as before, 190 degrees C, which is, I will tell you, 375 Fahrenheit. Okay, for about 25 minutes, and it's ready when it'll puff up, it'll look golden, and if you want to be absolutely sure, if you just get a skewer, stab it through the middle of it, it'll come out clean. So in it goes for about 25-30 minutes, but keep an eye on it, around 25 minutes. Oh gosh, nearly dropped it. So it's finally done. The only thing I'm going to say is it took much longer than the recipe said. The recipe said 25 to 30 minutes. It's taken more like 45. So just keep an eye on it, and I've just been checking it every 5 minutes and popping a skewer into the middle. And once it's come out clean, then it's done. So we'll get it out. Here we go. So you can see it's just got a couple of hole marks in where I've just been testing it. So there it is. It's all puffed up and lovely and smells really nice. So if you're going to have it warm, then I would just leave it for kind of 10 minutes just to settle in the case before you attempt to, get it out with the loose bottom. If you're going to eat it cold, then you can just leave it to go completely cold. So it's cooled for a little bit, it's all done, and I'm cutting a piece. So here we go. Ooh. Onto the plate. So should we try a bit? What do you think? You ready? Oh, it's still hot. Oh, it's really nice. Do you think I should let it down a minute? No, I don't think so too. What?
What do you mean you're not going to share it with me? Fine then. I'm eating this. Ha ha.
We're just sharing. Cadbury's caramel. Yum. And I was just saying to Dan,
I always used to think, it was a bit worrying, that bunny.
The bunny on it, yeah, they don't do the advert with that bunny on.
She was like
Jessica Rabbit, wasn't she? Take it easy with Cadbury's caramel.
Yeah, but she was a bit. It was wrong to. I used to watch the advert and think, that's a really nice bunny.
And I was just saying, they've changed. We've just eaten it all, so I can't show you. But this used to be inside. It was squared off. It was a rectangle, and then you broke off individual little sort of nuggets. Recently they changed it, and they're all like rounded now. And I don't like it as much. And I think
everything, they've changed everything to make it smaller.
Yeah, it's smaller.
And
because they've rounded everything off, there's less chocolate.
It's better on the waistline, and it would be no. What you're doing is,
do you know what?
You're making more money.
Yeah, you're making more money.
Less product in, and you're charging us more for it.
I very rarely have a bar of chocolate, and even now I've only had like 2 squares out of that. I just think if you're gonna, it's a treat, isn't it? Just have it if you're going to have it.
Or if you were honestly
things.
trying to make people slimmer, then charge less.
I mean, you're a chocolate company, really.
Less. Yeah.
I don't think your aim is to
go out of business first.
But I love Cadbury's caramel. Oh, yum yum.
Could we get back to the point?
What was the point?
The point being, where is my Bakewell tart?
Do you want some?
No.
Oh. Is that because you had a massive slab last night?
Maybe.
He said, oh, I didn't have any, but...
She did share it.
I did share it with him. And he's like, cut himself a piece, and it was like, ugh. Massive with cream on top.
Can you believe that, though?
What's that?
What's in your oven?
What, that I ate it?
No.
Oh.
How cool was that?
Very cool. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope so.
It was fun to do. I've not done any baking in ages.
And I hope it was fun to be the star of the show for once.
I'm not.
Do you know? Do you know
it's a bit uncomfortable. You could probably tell. I don't really like being in the limelight at all.
Do you know what was interesting? My mum said to me the other day. She said, it's so interesting that you do this podcast. People aren't going to believe this now, because I'm shy.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, we both are, really, aren't we? We're both very...
No one's going to believe this.
Nobody will believe it. And it's funny, a lot of podcasters say that they are very shy people, and I'm not a very confident person at all. But you are. You've got lots of... You are.
I think I was so shy.
In a public situation, you know...
I think I was so shy I had to go the other way at some point, and that probably happened when I went to Australia. I think that was I went to Australia on my own, all on my own, as Charlie and Lola, and I think that's what brought me out of my shell. I was shockingly bad.
Right.
I don't know about how you were when you were young.
I was very quiet. I was, I wasn't very gregarious, I suppose is the word, is it? I mean, I had a small circle of friends, but I wasn't with the in crowd or anything like that. I was very quiet, very studious.
But I don't want anyone to think that if you happen to see us at a knitting show or even just out in the street, don't think that we wouldn't want you to come up and say hi.
No, please come and say hello if you see us.
Would.
It would absolutely make my day, especially at a knitting show. We were talking about that the other day as to whether we're going to go to any this year. I haven't decided yet. Because there's not many in this country, unfortunately, that's close to us.
I don't think I would. As much as I enjoyed the drive, I don't think I'd go to...
We won't go to Woolfest again. Is that what you were going to say? Yes. That one's in June, because we've been to Woolfest the last 2 years, and...
You went 2 years, me and Bryony have only been
that's right, yeah. But it's kind of same old, same old. There was nothing different from one year to the next.
And also, I just don't think... Crumbs, there was only one... stall that I sort of looked at and thought that looks really great. It's all a bit how knitting was 20 years ago. That's what it feels like. I think it does. It's been going for 10 years, I think, now, and I just don't think it's changed in all that time. I think it needs a bit of a revamp. But I do. I think, and I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily blame the organisers of these types of things, because they are perhaps catering to the market that has always been. Yeah, maybe so. And they're not realising. It's been interesting to see more and more new British-based followers of this podcast. I don't know if anyone else is noticing this if you have a podcast, but there seems to be. I don't know if it's becoming a bit cooler in the UK. I certainly hope so. And do you know what? I would not have a problem. 15 episodes ago, I certainly wouldn't have knit outside. I absolutely would do now. I wouldn't have an issue with it. No, I mean, I do, and I don't think about it as much as I used to, I suppose. No. So yeah, if we happen to be at a wool festival gathering this year and you see us, please come and grab us, because we will love it. Literally. Yeah. Especially you, Linda Thompson. Yeah. Or you, Luli. Luli, yeah. Come and rugby tackle me. Yeah. Because she saw us at Woolfest. Yeah. And went, oh. Couldn't possibly. Say hi. Please do, honestly, gosh. That'd be so fun. So. Kay Jones.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be preparing.
I'm getting to the end of this row.
Because I'm about
knitting
to
as
ask
fast
you a
as I
question.
can. I don't knit very fast.
Will
really.
I ask before she has time to finish? It's getting close. Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Well. It is a momentous occasion.
It is episode 20.
Oh yeah, I must have planned it this way.
A new
that
improved and rather exciting what's in your oven.
Yeah. And I must have planned it this way that I had this off the needles. Let me just... Look what I finished. Oh my goodness. Finished it yesterday. And I posted a picture on Instagram, and I mean, you're all so sweet. And so the comments that you were all putting,
Yeah. Rubbish, waste of time. Why did you...
It's had more likes. I'm not a person really that... I don't aspire to get lots and lots of likes. I'm not that way inclined at all. But
what you're trying to say is that's not why you post things.
I don't post things to get likes, not at all. No, I post it because it's fun and I like sharing things with my friends.
And I think also you use it as a diary of what
I do.
knitting. And
I think it is like a diary. Yeah, absolutely. But I did notice that this, when I looked this morning, it had like lots and lots of likes.
How many?
Over 400, I think.
Lord.
I know, that's a lot, isn't it?
That's insane.
And lots of comments, and a couple of the comments, really, honestly, I mean, I said to you last night, it just made me tear up, because Paula from the Knitting Pipeline put a really lovely comment. She said, that Bryony would have it all through her life, and Lorraine said a similar thing, and I'm going now, just thinking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. So here is the finished log cabin. I don't know how I'm going to show this. I'm going to have to stand up. So here it is. It's
79 comments.
I know.
That's insane.
I know. So it's 3 squares across and 4 down. It's 12 altogether. So I'm going to try and hold it up so you can see.
Kimmy Knits has put good but not as nice as mine. No, she hasn't really. I made that up.
You're so mean, isn't he? So I'll try and move it up so you can see all the colours.
That's so funny.
There's a better picture on Instagram and on Ravelry if you wanted to have a look. So here's my finished blanket. Oh, it's really heavy. I weighed it because a couple of people asked me how much yarn I used. I've not got a clue, and then I thought, I can weigh it, can't I, of course, when it's finished. It weighs 1112 grams. And I worked out from the yardage on the ball band what the yardage was, so it's approximately 2,800 yards. And it measures, just in case people want to know, it's 41 inches by 55 inches. So a really good size. So yeah, finished it. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finished it. It seems like a long time, but actually I only started it in August. So that's not really that long, is it?
No, and not a lot's happened between August and now.
No. It's been a quiet time. That's maybe why it feels like it's been such a long project, because it's been such a long 6 months, I guess. So it's 6-7 months it took me. And I mean, I would knit another one, and actually I do have another one on the go. Some people might remember I've got a Cascade 221 on the go that's mine and Dan's. But I think I'm giving myself a little log cabin break, I think, before I decide to pick that one back up. So it's all done, and Bryony loves it, and it's not one bit. I mean, Tilly Trout knows she's crocheting a blanket in this, and actually that leads me on to something else, but she knows that it's not, it's cotton bamboo, so it's lovely and soft and squishy and perfect for a baby blanket or child blanket or anybody blanket. So that's it all done, yay!
I don't have anything what's off my needles.
I've got something else.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just finish that story I started before when,
okay.
And that was get it out. The next thing.
It didn't take long, did it?
Forget it. Kay Jones was off your needles.
That's funny. Let me just adjust her bonnet.
And I don't think that should have a pom-pom.
Oh, really?
I think you need to do... What would be cool would be if you did another one, but put like a proper bobble hat on it.
I don't know how I'd do that, darling.
Make a little bobble hat.
Oh, right, just make a little bobble hat.
How cute would that be if I had a bobble hat with a bobble on?
Right, shut up.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Well, it's all right you saying these things, darling. Just knit a bobble hat with holes that will fit that and everything. It's not as easy as that.
Okay, then.
I think I can just do these things. Look, I knit a little pookie.
Do. There is no try.
How cute is that? I've got a major jog going on of my stripes at the back, but hey ho. So I saw this pattern. I knew about it before I was reminded of it, but I was watching a podcast, Junk Yarn. Sorry, I had to think then. I was watching Junk Yarn podcast. It's a new one with a lady called Kemper. I forgot that right. Yes, I think it's Kemper. And she'd knit one of these. It was on her first podcast and she showed it and I was like, oh, I remember seeing those. So I went over and looked up the pattern. It's been out a few years and it's called Pookie. And I've printed the pattern, so I thought I'd just... There we go. It's by... it's Fuzzy Mitten, and Fuzzy Mitten is Barbara Prime. She's got a whole host of patterns out. So there's the pattern. It's on Ravelry. It's only $1.99 as well, which, you know, I think is fantastic. And there's different ears, look, and different sizes that you can knit. Bryony wanted the smaller one with the bare ears, so that's the one that I did. And I used scraps of Cascade 220, but then the little bonnet is Dancing Dog Dye Works. It's Michelle sent me a couple of skeins of like coordinates to go with the cupcake colourway. I think was it cupcake, I think, colourway. So I used the pink for the hat. And Bryony said it's like ice cream colours. There's like mint choc chip and strawberry. So it's really cute, and I've put in, I don't know if you can hear, yeah you can, I've put in some beans, but actually I used chickpeas, dried chickpeas, and it's super cute, and it took me just a few hours. I mean, it really was that quick. Very satisfying little knit, you know, just an afternoon really, and you've got yourself the cutest little thing. So of course Bryony now wants a mummy and a daddy, so at some point I've got to knit a mummy and a daddy. So, loved it. My little Pookie.
Loving it.
Super cute. I kept saying, oh, I wish I'd designed this. It's so cute. So, yep. So that's my 2 finished objects.
Is it?
Oh, no, it's not. Well, that is my 2 finished objects, but I have 3 other.
Do you?
Well, there's 3 of those.
Oh, yes.
There's 3 of those.
I can model it.
I've spoke about before the shawl pattern that I was working on, and I've just thought I better not say the name because I haven't claimed the name yet on Ravelry. It's not there. Nobody's got this pattern name, but
so don't say
I better not say it just in case somebody thinks, oh, that's a nice name, and goes, not that anybody would do that, but you know,
they would.
It was something, I guess, because it's a pretty name. I like the name. So anyway, I finished yesterday as well my test knit of the final shawl pattern. So I will show you.
Inspired by our Roman adventures.
Yes. And I've got 3 kind of versions of it.
Can I put mine on? No. Show it first.
Well, this was the first one that I knit. What I wanted to knit was, as I said before, I wanted like a DK weight, squishy, nice, you know, I wanted something simple, but with a bit of interest, just to keep you going. And because I think that my favourite kinds of knit are something that's very simple, but that has a bit of something, just to, you know, make you want to knit another row, or, you know, get to that end of the pattern repeat or whatever, and it just makes it, you know, a more pleasant knit. It was inspired by our trips to Hadrian's Wall and Romans, and I just had this image in my head of, you know, I wanted somehow to portray the wall and the soldiers,
and also perhaps what might be worn by someone who's going for an adventure on the wall.
On the wall, well, yeah, maybe.
Keep you warm.
So this was the first one I knit, and I said before how I did the side panels in garter. This is the one I did in garter. So I'll hold it, this is just out of Cascade 220. So here we go. Oh, I'll hold it out. So it's got a centre panel. It's very simple. kind of half moon crescent-y sort of shape. And we've got a centre panel of cables and a twisted stitch. Gosh, it looks super pretty. And I do like the garter. I am going to put in the pattern, there'll be, you know, an option obviously to do it either garter or stocking stitch.
Because this looks
manly. I think it looks more manly, and especially the colour that I've used, this kind of steely sort of greeny grey. It's more green than it's coming up on the screen. So there's just increases along the top edge, centre panel with the cables and twisted stitches. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but I spent ages on this top bit. I wanted the cables to really start up here and look like it was emerging out, and I was really happy that I'd managed to do that. They run all the way down to I'm pulling it the wrong way, right to the bottom. And then you've got this ribbed, which is a repeat of the twisted. It's like a twisted stitch rib that runs along the border. So simple, I think, but I think it came out. I mean, you know, I'm really pleased with it. I think it's pretty and simple, and we think unisex. So you know, you need to do that. And then you do that and just wrap it.
I am Josh Rikes.
Yeah.
I am Benjamin Crudwig.
It's not arranged properly, but you get the idea.
I never thought I'd see the day where I'd have on a shawl.
I know, you see, and it looks pretty cool, I think.
It feels a bit Star Warsy.
It does, we said that actually, didn't we? That it's a bit kind of Star Wars.
I wear this with my Han Solo outfit.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just kind of squishy and warm.
So that was number one.
That was number one. And then when I saw it and I thought, I don't know about that garter section. I'm going to do it in stocking stitch because I really wanted something a little bit more drapey and a bit more feminine. So then I knit the second one, and that was just Cascade 220 because I didn't want to use anything, you know, expensive. So for this one I used Madeline Tosh DK, the single ply, and this is Celadon. And I think this came out super pretty. So you can see the difference. This one is a stocking stitch. And again, you've got the cables. This one I did a deeper rib on the bottom. So, and I used just short of the 2 skeins. So the other thing I wanted it to be a good wingspan as well. Because I think some shawls I've knit have just been a tiny bit too short, you know, so that when you get them round your neck you're fiddling. So again, this one won't be in any way adjusted properly. But you know, just so you get the idea on how big it is around your neck. And it's still, because it's DK, it's still it's not too bulky. So that's that one. So I was pleased with that one. And I was going to use this one for the pattern, but then it's really pretty with this colourway, I think. Look how pretty that is. And it's more of a sea greeny blue, isn't it, in reality, do you think?
Yeah. I didn't think you were going to use that one. I thought you knit that one because you were worried about the colour.
Well, I'm going to put both of these colours on the pattern. They'll both be on there because I've done a deeper border on this one than I did on the other one, just to see what they would look like, really. So that's that one. I do love that cable and twisted stitch. So the idea is that this is Hadrian's Wall. This depicts the wall. And then all the little ribbed stitches, these are all the soldiers.
And this is all the grass.
And this is like either side of the wall. So we've got Scotland and England, the wall and the soldiers either side, you know. So that was my inspiration. So that was that one. And then I wanted to, again, just to take it one step further. I've not trimmed my ends on this one because it's only just finished drying. I said last time I wanted to get that Emperor purple colour.
Yeah.
So I did, and this one's come out a little bit more airy, which actually I really like. Look, you can see more or less through this one, and it's just the different weights.
That's a lot more
in yarn.
That's super elegant.
Yes, and this is kind of what I was aiming for. And I love actually that I've used the same size needle. It's 4.5mm needle that I've used, and I did write the gauge down, so I will, obviously that'll be in the pattern. But I think because the Madeleine Tosh is, because it's a single ply, I just think it blooms up a little bit more. This is a plied yarn, this one. But I love how this one has come out so drapey, and the silk in this one, it's 50-50 silk merino.
That'd be why it looks so elegant.
And this is why I think it's, this is more the drape. Can you see how lovely and drapey that is? I love that. So this is the purple one, which is the 5 Moons. I've got the ball band. 5 Moons, Diana DK. And this is the other thing I loved about this yarn, because look at the description. Diana in Roman mythology was a virgin goddess of the moon and the hunt. So that was another reason I chose this. The colourway is Faded Royal. 212 metres, and I've weighed it. And the shawl weighs 180 grams, so that comes out at about 410 yards. So 2 skeins of a DK weight. Any, Madeleine Tosh, I think DK weight is 220 yards, so I mean it's ample. So it's about 410 yards. So yeah, this is the purple one, and I wanted to do the border on this one just a tiny bit, not as deep on this, just to see again how it would look. And I really like this one as well, but I love the drapiness of this. And I'll just do a little. Well, it smells really nice, and that's something else I must just talk about. And this is the first time I've put it on actually, because it's only finished drying this morning. I was like washing and blocking it last night. I was like, I really want it to be drying. I got the hairdryer on it this morning. So I like that, these ends, they come all the way down here, so it's not gonna, sometimes when you wrap it, they only come to like up here and you're fiddling, and I wanted to make sure that it was like that good. Oh, it's so nice. Look at us.
Beautiful.
It's really nice to wear. That yarn is beautiful.
And it'll always be, that's the always go. It'll always remind us of our Roman adventures.
Yeah.
And I'll sort of want to wear this now whenever I go to the wall.
Yeah, and I think it's my patterns and everybody's, I guess, are always very personal, aren't they? And
there's something to be said for that, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said as well that are designed around places.
Yeah.
And how they make you feel.
That's right, yeah. And I do love it. And it is, I wanted it to be kind of accessible for everybody to knit and to just have a go. It's very simple to knit. But, there's a bit of cable, a bit of twisted stitches. And I think it's just lovely. And it smells really nice. And I'm just going to go and grab it, because it's only just in the cupboard there. Just talk a second.
Yeah, I will, because I do sort of think, seeing it now on and wearing it and things, you've actually done a fairly good job.
It's nice of you. I've been stressing over this for a long time.
It's beautiful. It feels great.
Yeah.
I like the bloke's one.
Yeah, and it's lovely actually. This yarn's beautiful. But what I was going to say...
do you know what is so different between that and this? This feels super bulky, and that does not feel super bulky.
It's because this is Cascade 220, and it doesn't have the... it's not superwash, so even when you've washed it, it kind of sucks back to how it was originally, right. And the garter stitch as well. But it's nice. I do like the garter stitch. It has that nice effect.
Oh, it's a fella's thing, definitely. It's a
and I
thing.
think, the fact that it's interchangeable like that, I think is really nice. But what I was going to say was, I've run out of soak, the wool wash. I bought it, a couple of years ago, but I'd run out. And I had some socks I needed to wash, and I knew I was going to have to wash this. So I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to pick up...
gloves.
So I thought, I'm just going to pick up some hand washing solution from the supermarket. And I got this, which has been around, I'm pretty sure, for years and years and years. And it's, for delicates, hand, and it's machine wash as well. But I've been using this, and it was £3.50 from Sainsbury's. £3.50. And you all know how much soak is, and Eucalan, it's very expensive. And I know they last a long time, but even so. And I've been using this, and just smell it.
Oh yeah.
It's
nice.
just a really fresh, lovely scent, and it worked perfectly well. I'm a convert. Woolite from now on for me.
Cool.
So
when we need to do the pattern, don't we? And then
I've got a photograph. I only
test
finished.
knitters.
Yes, I was going to say. I will. If anybody wants to test knit it for me, then just send me a PM. I mean, it'll probably be a couple of weeks before I ask you, before I send you the pattern anyway.
How many do you need?
Well, really, it's not a complex pattern. I just obviously want to make sure that everything's right. I do really think that a pattern, if you're going to charge for it, I really do think you should test knit it. So just maybe 3, or I don't think it needs more than that. 2 or 3, if there's 2 or 3 people out there.
Is it like Bryony's Art Club first?
First come, first served. Yeah,
First in the door.
I don't know that I'll get a million people wanting to knit it. But I mean, if you've got in your stash, if you've got 2 skeins of a DK weight, or a worsted will probably work as well. But really, DK weight is what is designed for. So if you've got 2 skeins knocking about that you don't know what to do with, fairly quick knit, I would say.
And we're going to have a photo shoot, aren't we?
Yeah, I need to do all the photography and...
Going to have a photo shoot on the Roman ruins themselves.
Yeah.
Should be pretty cool.
So like I say, if you want to test knit it, then just send me a PM on Ravelry, and it will be a couple of weeks anyway before I ask you to do it, so it's not going to be a rushed thing. So... yeah, and then hopefully the pattern should be out within the next few weeks. I'll have it ready for the test knitters certainly within the next couple of weeks, and then it's got to be test knit. So it might be a month before the pattern's out, but it'll give you a chance, if you want to knit it, obviously, to find some nice yarn. And the draper yarn I think works really well, so if you can find one that's, a silk mix, or bamboo would be good as well. And then I think that would be lovely. So, yeah.
So who are you going to ask?
I used my back to the introduction thread again, and I chose this person because she's very local to us. What are you doing?
Holding my breath till you take.
She's very local to us. She's just kind of up the road. Well, 30 miles. How far's Newcastle? Is it 30 miles, 40 miles? Yeah, up the road from us. So when I saw she was very close, I thought, I've got to choose you. So what's off your needles is Sophie.
Oh!
Sophie in Newcastle, and Sophie is Tawny One.
Yay!
Tawny One, yeah, like Tawny Owl, but Tawny One.
She is the Tawny One.
Tawny One. So Sophie, get over to the What's Off Your Needles thread.
And let's find out.
What's off your needles.
What's off a Geordie's thread?
Yeah.
That's right. That doesn't make sense.
No. Why do they call people Geordies? Where does that come from?
She can tell us at the same time as posting. Yes, please. Kay, we had to establish just last week what the tune is.
A friend of ours
was going out on the tune.
She was going out on the tune, and she'd hashtagged it. #tune. TOON. And I'm like, what's tune? Is it?
Sorry, what's that?
Is it some code word for something I don't know?
So we established tune is what the word town sounds like
if
when
you're
a Geordie says it.
Yeah, I was like, so stupid that I didn't know that.
What's on your bookshelf? Yes.
Right.
Shall I go first then?
Yes.
Well, picking up the continuing stories of Sir Ranulph Fiennes, it definitely, last episode I spoke about this book, and I said that it was a difficult read because he's not a particularly good writer. I think he gets better as you get into it. Also as well, I'm still not engaging with the characters very much though. I'm engaging more with, he speaks a lot about other people who have done similar things to him. So he's mentioning Robert Falcon Scott a lot, and Amundsen a lot, and also James Ross, who discovered crumbs. I think it was an awful long time ago actually, who discovered the Ross Ice Shelf, and talks a lot about Eskimos and also how they live and it's really interesting. And those bits are interesting, and I find that more enjoyable than the bits where he's talking about what he's doing. Certainly interesting what he's doing, but I'm engaging with the characters more with the other guys. So I don't quite know what he's doing wrong. I mean, it's an unbelievable endeavour that he... Do you know what he did?
Not fully, I don't think.
He circumnavigated the
poles.
He went round the world.
Right. Around the pole.
He went from one pole right the way up to the next pole and back again.
Did he?
Yeah. Travelling, going bang, straight line, sea when I have to.
Gosh,
overland.
I didn't realise that was the case.
Did it in the late 70s.
Gosh.
And that's the story that he's talking about. And they had zero money, and they were told they were crazy to even try it.
Yeah, I'd say.
And also, I mean, some of the things that I've just been reading a bit all about gusts of wind. And you just think, oh, well, wind's wind, and when it's windy, and you know where to expect it from. Well, he's saying when you're in cold regions, the wind comes from above.
Oh, God.
So you get a gust of wind that goes... Whoosh,
the top of your head?
Yeah, straight down.
How bizarre.
And so it comes from nowhere, because it's not like it's whipped up along the land, so it comes straight down. And he's talking about a time when he just got knocked straight off his feet by one of those gusts. And then he goes into great detail about how that works, which is really interesting. But also talking about, I find things like, if you're in a particular area, when do you need to worry about the liquid in your eyes freezing and
Gosh.
or things like that. I suppose it's boys' own adventure type things. So definitely getting better, and the story is one that's totally epic. So I suppose you should know that, and I'm surprised I didn't know. You sort of know who he is, but you don't quite realise how he got
what he did. Yeah, because that is some time ago. That isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. So Kay Jones.
Oh.
What's on your bookshelf?
Okay. See, I got knitting and just get in the zone. I've got one book I'm reading and one book I've just finished. I'll talk about the one that I've just finished. What?
It's a funny sentence. One book I'm reading and one book I'm just finished. I get you now.
I can't just bring up that front page of that, can I? I don't know how to do that. It doesn't matter. I'll just show the whole thing. It's on my Kindle, so I was just saying it's the one. Oh, I can't point here.
What's it called?
It's called At Last a Life by Paul David. I've just finished reading this.
You finished reading it?
I've finished reading it. Well, I've got a couple of pages left, I think.
Right. Is it a long book?
No, I don't think so. I mean, how do I get back to it? Or do I do that? How can I tell? I don't know how
sort of
I can tell.
medium length.
Right, okay. It's a book that was written about people who suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. The reason I've read this one is, you can probably guess, but the past few weeks in particular, but since going back to probably last August, I've been suffering with anxiety and panic attacks.
I wonder what brought that on.
Well, it's no coincidence that I started feeling these sort of feelings the day after Dan got his diagnosis, just as we were going to Chatsworth.
Are you saying it's my fault then?
Well, no. We've had lots of discussions about this. I'm not saying it's your fault at all. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but certainly last episode I wasn't going to talk about it because I wasn't feeling good at all a couple of weeks ago. But I think it's probably helpful to talk about these things. And also I think that, I'm sure, the number of people that watch us, there must be people out there that have had this same problem at some point in their lives, I think. I do think it's more common than people think, because I just don't, yes, that people will admit to, because I'm not sure people really do openly talk about it. So I'd kind of started having these issues back in August, and I managed it pretty well all through chemo, and I was okay. But then a few weeks ago, I think, I've been to the doctors a few times in the past couple of weeks, and they've all kind of said, both doctors I've seen have said the same thing, that these things, you kind of keep them in, and it's only after the event. And actually your oncologist said this to me as well, because I mentioned it at the time to her a couple of months back probably, and she said the same thing. But it kind of hits you afterwards, and that's certainly been the case. And it kind of full on hit me, I think. Probably it was about 3 weeks ago, wasn't it, maybe? Something like that. And I mean, the symptoms, I'm not going to go into it in detail at all, but the symptoms ranged from inconvenient symptoms to downright frightening symptoms. And I did kind of convince myself there was something seriously wrong with me. And I went to the doctors and they did blood tests and everything came back normal. And they just said to me, not that it's just anxiety, because that kind of makes light of it, but it's not actually, there isn't anything sort of physically, internally wrong with me. So I kind of was seeking out ways of self-help. I mean, the doctor gave me some pills which were awful, and I stopped taking within a few days because they were just not helping one bit. So I've been kind of self-helping myself and doing it myself and talking to people, which has been really, really helpful. But I found this book, and I started reading it. It's when you went up to Northumberland, wasn't it, with Bryony that day. I just couldn't go. And I started reading it that day, and it really, everything just kind of started to make sense. And I thought to myself, I'm not actually going mad, which I did think for a good long time, that there was something either mentally or, it was horrible. I've never felt like it my whole life. So anyway, I started reading this book, and I've nearly finished it now, and it has been super helpful. And when I've had particularly...
I like that bit that you told me about where it was saying, you will persuade yourself that there's something seriously wrong with yourself. And Kay's going in her head, but there is something seriously wrong with me. You're wrong, and you threw it down.
You kept saying all through the book that, you'll be convincing yourself. One of the symptoms is that you convince yourself that there's something else going on apart from, it can't just be in your head, I suppose, because it is in your head, it is a mental thing. And at one point, I just threw it down and I said, oh, what are you talking about? There is something wrong. There is something wrong with me.
You idiot.
You absolute fool. And I didn't pick it back up for a few days. And then I got the blood results back from the doctors and they said they were all normal. I'm like, all right, okay.
Ew. So
I'm definitely, better than a few weeks ago, I think. But, I think it is going to take some time for me to get back to the kind of easy-minded, not worrying, person. I've always been a worrier, but...
I was going to say, well, that's not someone who I've met.
And, the type of person that this happens to is generally somebody who is kind of a worrier, not particularly laid back, and I'm really not laid back. I am a worrier. So I wanted to tell you about the book in case there are people out there that have gone through, like I say, something similar or are going through something similar. It's really helped me, so I would highly recommend.
So just say again, what's
it called? It's called At Last a Life. And it's Paul David. And I understand he has a website as well. I haven't looked at the website because I've been trying to avoid... The other thing that I was doing, and I think this is, again, one of the symptoms, is I'm Googling everything. Googling symptoms of this and symptoms of this and convincing myself that I got all of them. Really, it sounds ridiculous me saying it now, but, I'm not hoping, but... that people can maybe relate to what I'm saying. And, the other reason I wanted to say it is just in case, I don't think people will notice that maybe I'm not liking as many photos on Instagram or I'm not commenting as much, but sometimes I've just not had the kind of mental capacity to even think straight, let alone do the whole social media thing. So I just wanted to say, if, I do read everything, but maybe if I'm not as around as much, it's absolutely nothing personal to anybody. It's just this kind of process that I'm going through at the minute. So
apart from you, Kimmy.
And there's been a few people that I have chatted with, and I won't mention who you are, but thank you to everybody who has took the time to send me messages and just say, a similar thing happened to me and this was my experience, and that's really helpful. So that was the reason I wanted to. I'm not going to dwell on it, and I'm not going to talk about it probably again.
Let's talk about your other book then.
But I just wanted to mention it. So that's that. And then look at the Kindle. Look what it does. Isn't it cute? There's like loads of different images, and when you turn it off, it puts one of these images on, and it's amazing how it looks. And I'll just hold up a page. Maybe people have not seen. This is a Kindle. What is it?
I can't remember.
It was the new one, Paperwhite.
Right.
It's a Paperwhite, and that's what the pages look like. It's really, and even if you turn it up, you can still, they do say, different lights and everything, it works. I do really love it. I would recommend a Kindle. So, and then on a completely different.
Is it a laugh out loud romantic comedy? That's my question.
I haven't laughed out loud yet.
I didn't when I read it.
You haven't read it?
I know.
I'm reading this. Ivy Lane by Cathy Bramley.
Tilly.
And yeah, this is one of the reasons that I picked up this book, because the main character's name is Tilly. So I was just drawn to it straight away. And also, she's just moved to a village in Derbyshire. A made-up village, but still it's in Derbyshire. And she just went to Harrogate to meet her mum. Her mum lives in Harrogate. I just, straight away I was like, I've just got to read that. And it's just an easy, you can probably tell the type of book it is. Very easy read, and it's just about this woman who, something major has happened in her life, and I'm guessing she's had a relationship breakup. It's not fully said what it is yet. She's a teacher, and she's moved to this little village in Derbyshire. She's got herself a little house. She's working at the local primary school, and she decides to rent an allotment in the village. And it's just about, she's never had an allotment. She doesn't know what she's doing. So it's quite funny in that she was like wanting to get rid of the weeds on her path in her allotment. So she sprayed them all with weed killer. And straight away I'm thinking, this is a recipe for disaster. The next time she went back to her plot, her grass, she's got this grassed area, had dead patches, and she said, she must have walked in the weed killer and then walked all over the grass. So it's quite funny from that point of view. It's just an easy, nice read, and I love that it's in Derbyshire, obviously, and I'm really enjoying it. So if you want an easy read, and I love the front cover. I am drawn to books that have pretty front covers. I don't know whether that's a sensible thing or not, but look at the little shed, and it made me think of Tilly again. How funny. Main character's called Tilly, and look, she's got a shed, just like, I don't know, I think Tilly's is probably bigger than that, Tilly Trout. But really enjoyable. So, what else is on your bookshelf, Mr. Jones?
Well, like Kay, I'm drawn to books with pretty covers. I read this a little while ago, and it is a biography of Julius Caesar. And I won't lie to you, it's an extremely difficult read. And the reason why it's a difficult read is because I'm pretty certain it was written in German and then translated into English. So it's been conjugated a little bit different. So to an English speaker, you have to read each sentence a few times for it to go in. It's the only one of its kind, though. No one else has done a book like this. And because of that, I really wanted to read it, because one of the things that amazes me about Roman history is how well documented it is. So this is an unbelievably accurate and the only, as I say, piecing together specifically of Julius Caesar's life, and there's a little write-up on the back, and it really sums it up. The greatest man of any age, he absolutely was. He changed and shaped the face of the globe. Mm-hmm. As a politician, diplomat, writer and lover, but above all as a military genius. And the book gets into every area of that.
Sounds like you.
It's rip-roaring. It really is. I mean, it's a different time. It's amazing. But then part of me wonders if it is, because you would... I mean, he's not changing the face of the world, but this guy is having adventures very similar to what Caesar did. I think the difference was, back then, the world was very much an unexplored place. Actually, the more you think about it, the more the links is. You know, guys like Ranulph Fiennes and you know, looking back over time, the guys I've already mentioned, Shackleton and Scott and Amundsen and all these guys, and Ross and so many others, they wanted to get out there and discover and break new ground. And you know, that's specifically what Caesar was doing, as we've already discovered, the first guy to set foot, Roman, to set foot in Britain. And if he hadn't, well, they never would have come, and we wouldn't have the A1.
True.
A1 is a very important road. It becomes the M1 at certain points, but then also it spurs off, doesn't it, on its own? And, but it's like the main artery that everyone uses if you want to go up or down England. So if you're interested at all in our Roman adventures, and I would say you have to be really quite interested in the Roman adventures, and if you want to read about
Yarn down!
He was the founder of the Caesars. That's what they then called after Caesar and Augustus became powerful. You then had the Caesars that followed. Whoever was emperor was called Caesar. So great man, hard read, but full of superb content. The writing is super tiny. I mean,
Gosh, it is.
It's really small writing.
Yeah.
So unlike some of the other historical books I've read, I read crumbs, what's his name? It's about Henry VIII. I can't remember his name now, but a really famous author. And I got the book. I was really excited to get the book. It's Henry, the Virtuous Prince.
Oh, right.
And I got the book. It's a hardback book, cost a bit of money. And the writing was massive, and it was like well in. So per page, it's such a real con. And funnily enough, it was part 1 and part 2's never come along. So you do wonder if it just never got commissioned.
Yeah.
But great book. Give it a go if you like Roman stuff.
Oh.
What?
What's on your bookshelf? Haven't I got to name somebody?
You do?
I'm ahead of you for a change.
Well done.
Well, that never happens.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yes. Now, I chose this person because I loved where she lived most of her life. And
it's a long way.
Yeah. Sorry. That's the clue. And she lived most of her life not far from where my mum is from, in Ireland. And she doesn't live there now, but she lived most of her life in Tipperary in Ireland, and my mum is from County Clare, and I don't think they're a million miles apart. So you should probably know who she is now. So what's on your bookshelf is Graceful M. And it's Emma, and she's now in Toronto. So Emma, pop on over.
It's funny that, because there's lots of Irish.
Yeah.
They went out, didn't they? Years ago.
Yeah. But she said she lived most of her life in Tipperary. I bet you've got a lovely accent.
Hope she still
Irish.
does.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I said, I bet you've got a lovely accent.
No, but I'm saying I hope she still has it. I hope it's not.
I bet you have. Do you still sound Irish? I love that Southern Irish accent. I think it's so... It's like,
cool.
To be sure. So Emma, pop on over and tell us what you're reading.
So, now I'd made a note. The knit along.
The knit along.
That's going rather well.
Yeah, it's going amazingly well. And
with Knicksknits.
Knicksknits, who's been doing exams at the minute, haven't you, Nick? Oh, I think
Good luck.
Just got one more to go. That was yesterday. I mean, I'm sure he said he got one more to go. So, go Nick.
Go Nick.
Oh, I used to hate exams.
I don't know. I always enjoyed exams, and I've always enjoyed interviews. job interviews.
You're absolutely off.
Well, it's
the
like a
trolley.
test, isn't it? It's like a
Well,
test
it is
of
a
your
test.
abilities.
It is a test, yes.
You can go and prove yourself.
Wow.
So there's
Knit along, yeah. So there's lots of chatter. I think there's 3 or 4. I think finished objects. Sarah Hepworth. Sarah Hepworth. How do you do it?
because she started those on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. No, she wanted to cast her
Her
socks
Christmas
on
Eve
midnight, which she did, and then 2 days later she got a finished pair of socks. She's like a magician.
She's
of
got
some.
one of those machines.
How do you do it, Sarah? I'm in awe that you knit these socks.
She's
so
one of those people
quickly.
that walks and knits.
Maybe she does. My goodness, amazing. So I think there's 2 or 3 finished objects now already.
And double dipping's allowed, isn't it?
Double dipping, triple dipping. You can dip as many times as you wish. I know that someone else, was it Knicksknits Podcast, I think it was, asked me because she got another one running, sock knit along, whether people could double dip, and I said, yeah, of course, absolutely. So, there's lots of chatter going on. People are showing their yarns and everything, so it's fantastic. So it's going really well. So finally sorted out the prizes, so I thought we'd just quickly show those.
So hold on. So you can double dip into other people's podcasts knit-alongs?
Well, yeah, I don't see why not.
So, okay, so you can dip into ours. You can dip into Nick's.
Yeah.
You can dip into NH Knits.
NH Knits, I think it was.
What's the podcast called?
I think it's called NH Knits. It's
that a
not
new
a
podcast?
podcast I'd heard of. I haven't had chance to look at it yet. But if you look on the thread, it's been linked in.
Do you think people could double dip into the sock along then on
Foot along.
and Twitch
That
and Stitch?
Marsha's doing, yeah.
I'm sure Marsha won't mind.
No.
Raise your chances of winning.
Yeah, Marsha's doing a foot along. I think you've called it a foot along, haven't you? I'm presuming you can knit slippers as well and stuff, but ours is just socks. I don't know that we could actually qualify as slippers, and it's just socks. But if you're knitting socks why are you looking at me like that?
I was just wondering if on Twitch and Stitch, if they do like a jumper knit along, would that be called an upper body along? I don't know.
Torso along.
Torso along. No. Torso along. That would surely be for tank tops.
Maybe so. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any medical people who could tell us. You see, I always thought that was your torso.
It is your torso.
Yeah, so that would be tank tops.
Right.
Yeah. What would be head along?
Head along.
Idiot.
Yeah. Hand along for gloves.
Leg along for leg warmers.
Leg along. That sounds weird.
Leg warmers.
Leg warmers. Loads of people knit leg warmers.
I think I want to do some.
Oh, who's going to wear leg warmers in this house?
Me.
Oh, stop it. So the prizes.
I can wear them when I go out on a morning.
You do that. We'll get back to the prizes. A very kind friend of the podcast,
An anonymous donor, has donated a pattern up to the value of $10. So that'll be one prize. So thank you, that person. You know who you are. And then the other. If she doesn't know who she is?
How can she not know who she
And
is?
we send her an invoice for 10.
I don't know really how I stay sane.
Now you can see why she's got anxiety.
Now you can see why I've got anxiety problems.
It wasn't because I was ill at all. It was 12 years married.
Yeah.
Is it 12 years?
We've not been married for 12 years.
No. 11 years this year.
No.
10 years
it's
this year.
not that long. 10 years this year.
Sorry.
And then the other two have come from me, I suppose. I wanted to choose a skein of yarn from my stash, for starters. And if you remember, a few months back, I got 2 of these skeins. And I purposely got 2 because I thought I had the opportunity to get 2 because I was offered, a custom dye. And I thought, well, I'll get 2. And I just thought, wouldn't it be nice just to share this? Because I've still got... I only knit the little giraffe from one skein, so I've still got almost a full skein really to knit some socks. So this is going to be one of the prizes. It's Fibre Nymph Dye Works, as you can see, and it's the custom 4-stripe of My Little Pony that I had done. So there is a pale pink, a kind of purpley pink, yellow and orange sparkles. So it's on the bedazzled base. That's upside down, not helpful. and you can see the colours there. It's bright. It's a little bit brighter in real life. So that's going to be one prize. I'm struggling to get it in the middle of the screen. You know what I'm like with it. So that's one prize. And then the other prize is I made a bag. Da-da-da. And I went through my fabric stash and I wanted to choose something that I hadn't made a bag out of before. So nobody will have this particular...
Mustaharuka.
Yeah, this is a fabric. I'll show you. I believe it's a Japanese fabric.
Yeah, that sounds...
Yeah, I think it's one of these Japanese whimsical fabrics. It's the lovely thick cotton, and I think I got it when I got a load of other Japanesey fabrics from... I'm trying to remember the name of the shop, and it's not coming to me. It's a shop in China. It might come back to me, but anyway, so I thought I'd use this because it's kind of spring-like. I think it's got sheep and rabbits. And look, chickens. I just thought it was really cute, and there's a bear on there as well. So it's sock size, and I've lined it in a really happy, bright yellow chevron. I thought that was very spring-like. So it's one of my sock wedges, and it will have some kind of zipper pull. I've just not done it yet. Probably a beaded one. And it's got one of I'm really struggling to get it in the middle of the screen. Look at Dan's face. It's got one of my new Bakery Bear badges, the bigger ones. I ran out of them ages ago, and they were smaller than this, weren't they? So I got some bigger ones done. So every bag that people buy, there'll be a badge with now until I run out again.
A new edition badge?
Yes, a new edition badge, bigger one. And if you buy a t-shirt as well, there's not that many t-shirts left in the shop now. I think there's only size large as well. I don't think there's any mediums left. But badge as well. So that's the other price. So there'll be 3. So yarn, bag, pattern. That's cool. Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have some other indie bits. Shall I just carry on?
What are you going to talk about?
This.
Well, let me talk about something first.
Okay.
Next episode, we will be concluding our Roman special, our 3-pronged Roman special, with a visit to our absolute favourite place to knit in UK Roman areas, and that's Walltown Crags. So stay tuned for next time. It's going to be rather special because there's lots of additional little bits there that are somewhat unexpected. A lovely garden area, a lovely sort of lake area, and then up you go.
Oh yes.
Yeah, up you go then onto the wall, and it's going to be. We've been building up to getting to Hadrian's Wall, and we shall get to Hadrian's Wall. It's been amazing, the engagement. I didn't expect people to quite really get this, because we did the Roman thing because we love it, and you guys have totally dug it, which I just love. It's so cool.
Dug it.
Yeah.
You get it?
Because we're archaeologists.
I wish.
And you've done something rather special, haven't you?
Well, I've been planning this for a while and searching out what I needed for a while. But because I was doing, the shawl that we spoke about, and that had the Roman connection, I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could find some fabric that was, along the lines of Rome, Italy, that kind of thing. And I spent ages searching for fabric, and let me tell you, it's not easy to find anything that's related to kind of Italy, Rome, Romans, but I did find some. Well, I found the fabric online, and then of course I couldn't find anybody that stocked it. And at this point I was in love with this fabric, and I became a tiny bit obsessed about finding it. And then I did in a shop, and I can't remember the name of it. If anybody wants to know, then just ask me and I will find it. I'll find my email and find it. But I'm pretty sure it was in New York, an online shop in New York, and the service was fantastic. And she had a whole mass of it. So
you bought the lot?
I bought a ton of it. So I have started making some bags in this fabric, and I've shown little pictures of it on Instagram. And I've also changed the size. Again, I wanted to connect it to the shawl, And so I wanted to make a bag that was maybe just a tiny bit bigger than the sock bag that I can call a shawl size, because I've not really got a shawl size. So here it is. So here's the fabric. Can you see how cool this fabric is? Right, I'm going to try and hold it for a minute so you can see. The Vatican is on there, Il Duomo and San Lorenzo, which I think is Florence.
There's the Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon, which is Rome, and then you've
Built by, hold on, Agricola.
Oh, right, yeah. And then you've got the river with the gondolas on, which is obviously Venice. You've got little mopeds, you know, that you always see whizzing around all the Italian streets. So it's got references to Rome, to Florence, to Pisa, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is on there, and to Venice. That's the ones I can find so far. And that's the other side of this one. Fabric placement obviously varies on each one.
There's the Vatican.
Yeah, the Vatican's on the other side.
That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So that's that one. And then the other thing I didn't want to do, I never do just a plain lining. I'm not criticising anybody that does, but I just prefer...
Excitement.
Yeah, I prefer... You know, I like opening my bag. It's nice, isn't it? To get a different, you know, coordinating lining. So, I trawled through all the websites and I chose about half a dozen, I think, what I thought would coordinate. So this one's got this kind of vintagey blue fabric going on that I think looks nice.
Are they different?
They're all, there's about half a dozen different fabrics I've got to line them.
Wowzers.
Yeah. So that one's got blue. And again, these ones, so it's slightly bigger. If I show you, that's my sock size normally, my sock wedge. And that's this one. You can see it's a good inch bigger than that one. And it's perfect size for, you know, your 2 skein. It's got a lovely wide bottom, which I like, so to speak. And they will have some kind of fancy schmancy zipper pull. I don't know, I haven't decided yet.
What we have to do, I really want to do this, and I'm not going to say, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really want to do is, we were talking about this, and I said, how cool would it be if on our last trip out to the wall, we found something just little and cool that we could just attach to or send with the bag. So you will have, if you get one of these bags, you're going to have something that we will have got from Hadrian's Wall. So it will be cool.
This one, look, you can see the fabric sort of repeat is really big. Look, Colosseum. So if you're lucky, you might get one with the Colosseum. And then Ponte Vecchio, which is Venice. I'm pretty sure that's Venice, look, with the gondola. Haven't been to Venice, but... And then the back of that one. The front and the back will always be different. I am being careful that I want the front and the back to be different. Pantheon's just right at the top of that one, look. And I just loved this fabric. I think it's so fun. And there's little kind of mopeds everywhere. Look, you can see all the little mopeds. What brand are they called? Vespers. Little Vespers. So this one's got a red zipper.
I think they're different in Italy.
Oh, are they? They're not Vespers?
I don't think so.
Oh, right.
So special edition Roman bag
so
with a little piece of Hadrian's Wall, not literally.
This one's got like a blue...
I'll be up there doing exactly what I was complaining about the other week. Chipping off bits of wall.
And then this is the other one I've done. That's got the Leaning Tower of Pisa on. And that side and that one.
We had a super cool...
Colosseum up here.
We've had a super cool idea that if we can make it work, and I do think we should try and make it work, what we said before with the...
Oh, yeah.
It's just the business, and it really will be.
And I love the lining of that one. Look at that. That's really fun, that one. The blue and the green.
I want a teacup in that design.
Yeah, that's really fun. And there'll probably be maybe 2 of each of the linings of each one.
And these bags will go on sale next episode, won't they?
Yes. Yeah. However many I've done by then. I've got a figure in my head, but I'm not going to say what the figure is because I don't want to put pressure on myself, which... is a bad thing for me at the minute. So there'll be a certain number of these bags with little fancy zipper pulls, like I said. I'm not sure what yet. And what I'm going to do with these ones is, I've had a couple of people who live in Australia who have said because of the time difference, it's very difficult for them to get, to catch an update. So I looked at the time zones. It's actually impossible for me to put up an update that suits Britain America and Australia. It's just not for, because just, you can imagine the time zone. So what I'm going to do is I'll put half of whatever I've done up at a time that is, a reasonable time for Australia, which will also be a normal time for us here in the UK. Probably morning, that one will be. And then the other half at my usual time, sort of the evening for us here. So that then I'm trying to make it as accessible, to everybody really as I can. So
cool.
That's those.
Anything else, woman?
Just one other a couple of other things. I'll just do it very quickly because I know
I'm hungry. You're correct.
It's lunchtime, I know. Bryony's teacher at school is pregnant. She's due a baby in the summer. She's a lovely woman. She only just got married, so we were working it out. We're like, gosh, it must have been a honeymoon baby. Really, And I thought, should I make her something? I haven't decided whether I'm going to yet or not, but I thought it might be nice to make a little baby blanket, a crocheted one, and Tilly Trout's ripple blanket inspired me. So I pulled out of the bamboo cotton again some colours. Doesn't know if it's a boy or a girl, and I thought this is quite neutral. Do you think that could be a boy or a girl, couldn't it, those colours? So I might start that. And then also, everybody will have seen the new pattern by Susan Claudino, No Knit Sherlock. It's the cutest little bunny, oh my goodness. It's got these huge feet and these big floppy ears. Oh, it's really cute. So of course I went and bought the pattern straight away. And I thought about what yarn I could use. Oh, and Danny's knitting a really cute one in this purple yarn. It's so nice. But I've got some hand spun from Deb at Fondant Fibre. And I knit one of my gelatos in it. And I'm certain there's enough left to make a bunny. And I just thought that was kind of Eastery colours, isn't it? So that's what I'm going to knit my bunny in. I'm not sure when I'm going to cast that on, but that's what I'm going to knit it in. Then the very final thing is I did make one little purchase. Wendy Rome, and it's the Fusion range. It kind of looks like hand spun. Can you see how it looks like hand spun? And I'd never in a million years ever get hand spun to knit socks, but I thought this was quite kind of a good middle ground for it. So I'm going to give that a go for socks, and it's 75 superwash wool, 25 nylon. Looks really nice. It looks interesting. So I've already wound off a tiny skein to put into my sock blankets. So that's another thing that's in the future at some point. And I think that's it.
Cool. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for... we should make it a massive Roman, super duper full-on end to the most amazing 3. And then we're back to Abby's.
Oh, yeah.
Some super cool ones. But I'm all about the Roman at the moment.
You are all about the Roman.
Yeah. So Waltham Crags, special edition bags.
Yep.
How can I say something else that rhymes?
Oh yeah.
With amazing tags.
Very good. He'll be proud of himself for that.
Yes. See you for episode 21.
21.
In a couple of weeks. Bye.